Welcome to Melanin Parents, Season 1, Episode 1. I'm being optimistic when I say Season 1 in hopes that there will be lots of episodes in our future. So a little bit about me. I'm a single mother of 2 college students. I'll share my journey, the highs, the lows, the challenges, things I wish I knew, and how I got them from where they were to where they are. See, my ex-husband and I divorced when my children were babies. But I was determined to do whatever it took to give them a good life. Not only was I a single parent, I raised my children contrary to the way I was raised, which caused some problems in my family. It seemed that my family opposed everything from breastfeeding to using car seats to discipline and after-school activities. Now, don't get me wrong, my family really didn't oppose everything. As a matter of fact, they loved and supported me and my girls for the most part. And I'm sure our story is not unique and the other families can relate. I subscribe to the concept of each generation improving on the last. To make that a reality, I felt that there were some things that were passed down that needed to end. Because like they say, when you know better, you do better. Because sometimes we get accustomed to doing things that our parents and grandparents did them, not taking the time to understand why they did it, nor are we exploring new methods. Look, there's no one way to raise successful adults. We all just do our best, and hopefully this podcast will help. So let's get started. Like I said, both of my children are in college. My oldest daughter is a sophomore at a HBCU in Tennessee, and my youngest is a freshman at Georgia State. As a parent of 2 college students, January is a mark of second semester. And like most college students, my children are facing the challenges of going to college during a global pandemic. And college certainly isn't what any of us pictured. Now, a word that I heard during this time is pivot. And I like that word. And I use it to describe what all of us have to do. We're all pivoting. So my college students, just like everybody else, they're pivoting. Now, when I think back to fall 2019, when my oldest was entering her freshman year, I remember that day that I was dropping her off. Getting her all moved into her new dorm, and she's meeting her new roommate. Her sister was there, and her sister and the roommate were excited. They were swapping cheer team stories. And after we get her all moved in, we go down to campus, and it is buzzing. But freshmen, their parents, their family, their friends. The school had the teams out. The Greeks were doing their thing. And of course, I did the mom thing, and I recorded my nervous freshman enjoying these festivities with her new roommate and her sister. And I'm watching their excitement. They're dancing to the live DJ that they had. We're eating barbecue. They're getting school swag. And it made it a lot easier to leave her. Because the night before, she expressed some concerns and she was nervous about moving to a different state where she knew no one, no friends. And I did my best as a parent to make her feel better about it. It's normal to be nervous. And so I encouraged her to give it a try, right? So within that first semester, she would call me all the time. And then we limited it to maybe just once a week. And during these weekly check-ins, I started noticing that she was struggling. So this once excited college freshman was struggling to find her tribe. She just wasn't happy. And this was beyond freshman nerves. And I remember some of the tips that the school shared during orientation about what to say, and I used all the right words. I gave her the suggestions, and I asked the right questions. At least the questions that they said were the right questions. And she had her okay days, but there were so many low days. Days when all she wanted to do was pack it up and return home. At one time, she said that she didn't think college was for her. And I was devastated. And I had to question, had I done the right thing? Now, I encouraged her to seek counseling and to participate in school activities. So this was before COVID. This was fall 2019. So the school was alive with activities. And I had gone to visit her during homecoming, and she had a group of friends, and she seemed okay despite some of the conversations that said otherwise. We all have our good and bad days, but on those days where things were not good, I would tell her to seek counseling. And this one particular day, there was something in her voice that made me know that she needed help. And now, despite all my efforts of keeping both of my girls very active in school. We're talking dance, gymnastics, drama club, track, cheer, student council. My now freshman college student was even the president of her Black Student Union at a predominantly white high school. She endured that. She was good at that. She and her sister were invited to all the parties in high school. Now, they had several what they call friend groups, but neither felt accepted, or that they had a group of friends like what you see on Girlfriends. If you know what Girlfriends is, a show from the old show from the early 2000s, or Living Single. They wanted that. Now, they had groups of friends, but nothing like what they saw on TV. Now, see, I'm listening to her now. She's a freshman. She's in college, away from home. And I was beyond concerned. And I gave it a lot of thought. Before I did it, I called the counseling department. And I spoke to an advisor. And I shared my concern. He actually was the advisor who spoke at orientation, who talked about some of the things to say when your freshmen started asking to come home. So very experienced with dealing with the freshman experience. And we talked. He asked me questions about what she was like in high school and school, and I told him all the stuff that she was involved in. And he was like, well, of course she's feeling lonely. She's not used to this. And he told me all these great things of what they could do to help her, and that they would intervene. Now, I felt better. However, I knew that once the school intervened, that she would know that I had contacted them. And I thought she might feel betrayed. And I was actually worried about our relationship. My girls and I have always been very close because I'm a single parent. So my relationship with them is very important to me. But I knew it was the right thing to do. And that eventually she would forgive me. And she needed to get help. And I wasn't wrong. She did indeed get upset with me. See, her dorm director did a wellness check on her, which is probably protocol. But she clammed up. Now, I already knew that she would. The counselor from the counseling department had already told me what was going to happen. And I had confidence that he would know what to do. And look, even if she decided not to speak with him, I felt better knowing that there were professionals that knew how she felt and that could help her find her way. Now, she left that first semester, her first year as a freshman, not feeling like she had found her tribe. Now, on the contrary, she did have a boyfriend, so Now, once she was home from winter break, she immersed herself in family. Thinking back, on the outside looking in, people would describe my children, both of them, as popular students. And see, I would speak to other parents who would talk about how their children were struggling in high school, and they would turn to me and say, "You should be glad you don't have that problem. Your girls are active and beautiful and popular." And yes, my girls were well-rounded in high school, very involved, but like I said, they never felt that they had the type of friendships that they wanted. And we struggle. We struggle in our family life, especially financially. But I'll discuss our financial struggles in future episodes. So, getting back to today. And here we are in 2021 amidst a global pandemic. So, my youngest is a college freshman. Her college went back 3 weeks ago. My oldest, she'll be a college sophomore, headed back to campus. She was supposed to be headed back to campus last week. Now, she wasn't sure if she wanted to go back on campus with COVID. Because fall 2020, all campus activities were discontinued. There were no team sports, there were no clubs, no in-person classes, no roommates for her, and most of her friends were not returning to campus. So, I left the decision up to her. See, sophomore year, first semester, after being there a few weeks, she regretted returning to campus. Now, the one bright light is that she had joined this cheer-like dance team. Now, I call it a cheer-like dance team because the school has an official cheer team, but this is a different cheer. They do more like cheer and dance together, like stomp and shake. I'm not sure what to call them, so I call them cheer-like dance team. So she joined that sophomore year, first semester. So that encouraged her, made it a little bit easier for her to remain on campus. Now, my youngest, freshman year, hybrid learning, so she had a few classes on campus, but mostly she did college in her room. Now, my college freshman did finish her first semester with a 3.7, and she's determined to join clubs and to be more active this second semester. Now, she returned to her second semester of freshman year, applying to internships. She's joining study groups. She even attended a job fair on campus that actually was virtual, but she didn't read the email, so she showed up and there was no one there. But at least she tried. Now, my sophomore was supposed to return to school January 23rd. I didn't want to influence her decision to return to campus. I know that the college campus is not fully open, and it's a hard sell to say, go back to your second semester in your dorm room with very little interaction with others versus staying home with family. And it wasn't an easy decision for her to make. As a matter of fact, she only made that decision a few days ago. She was supposed to leave, what she said, I'm leaving Saturday. Then she said she's leaving Sunday. Then she said she was leaving today. Well, now she's leaving tomorrow. Her suitcases are packed. They're near the front door, ready for her to return to begin her second semester during COVID. Now, things on campus appear to be getting better. We followed there's some social media posts. The clubs are recruiting. There's few social distancing events planned. And today we spent the afternoon brainstorming ideas for this club she's been dying to join. Now, what she said is this club is the only reason why she's returning to campus. That's not 100% true. She still had to go back to campus because when she left for winter break in October, she didn't pack up her dorm, so she still has her property there. So regardless, she has to go back to campus. Now, the question is she going to stay? That remains to be seen. We shall see. Now, one of her friends has returned to campus. She found out maybe a week or so ago that her boyfriend has officially dropped out of college. Again, that's an episode for another day. And this cheer like dance team will be returning to practicing, and hopefully they'll be able to perform at a game or two. And then there's this club. So COVID college is looking a little bit better than first semester for both of my girls. And regardless of what decision my sophomore makes, I'm going to support her, whatever she decides. And I'm holding out that my freshmen will be able to do a couple internships and to make some real college connections. Because even though she's pivoting and navigating through her first year of college, there's still some things she can do. And I want her to embrace and do all of those things. I want both of the girls to embrace and do as much as they can and have the best COVID college experience they possibly can. And I'll keep you posted and updated on how that goes. So there you have it. My first episode. See, we're navigating parenting, college during COVID, and sharing experiences. And if you enjoyed this episode, let me know and tell your friends. Send feedback, questions, and topics you want to discuss. This space is for us, by us. Let's use it wisely.